Hey, and welcome to YMI-Records. I just finished the live recording session with the Buffalo Bells, and as I promised in last week's video, I would like to walk you through the entire setup. Today it's all about the recording setup and the signal flow. I will save the music for a later video because I would like to compare the raw tracks with the finished mixes once everything is done. The main goal of this session was to record as many instruments as possible at the same time, while keeping the bleed between the microphones to a minimum. To make that work, we used every room in the studio, including the control room. A 6-piece band really needed every bit of space. The only overdubs were backing vocals, additional guitars, harmonica and percussion. I already covered my drum recording setup in another video, so I didn't change much in terms of microphone placement. The only thing I added was the periscope microphone. I don't want to get too technical, but this microphone has a built-in limiter, which makes it perfect for parallel compression. Since I had to manage a lot of inputs at the same time, and especially because the mid-range was getting very crowded with electric guitars, acoustic guitars and piano, I focused heavily on separation, starting with the right tuning and microphone choice before using EQ and compression to create space. For example, I boosted around 60 Hz on the kick drum, compressed it lightly with my DBX 160 and removed a little around 100 Hz where the bass guitar lives. With this many microphones, checking the phase was also extremely important. The bass setup was very straightforward. I recorded it through a DI box into my universal audio preamp, cut a little around 60 Hz to make room for the kick drum, added some 100 Hz for the low end and a small boost around 1K for definition, before compressing it with a DBX 160A by about 3 dB. The electric guitars were the biggest challenge for the entire session and took me quite a while to find the right place for them in the arrangement. The lead guitar player was playing through a Rivera amplifier, which we placed in the garage, while he was sitting next to the drummer and the bass player. The second guitar player was isolated in my third recording room and played through a Fender Bassman. Both amplifiers sounded fantastic on their own, but together they produced a lot of low end and low mids, which is quite typical for this country rock sound. I also wasn't happy with how the guitars changed from muted parts to more open chords. Of course, I could have fixed it later with EQ, but the microphones weren't translating the sound of the amplifiers the way I was hearing them in the room. So I kept changing the microphone combinations until what I heard in the control room matched I was hearing from the amps. I like combining a ribbon microphone with a dynamic microphone like an SM57, but this time that combination just wasn't working. In the end, I used an SM57 together with an Audio-Technica AE3000 on the Bassman and an SM57 together with an AKG C414 on the Rivera. In this video you will still see my original setup with an E609 and an M160 before I changed it. Luckily, the band brought plenty of guitar pedals. We recorded the open chords with delay to create a little bit more dimension, while adding a touch of distortion to the muted parts for some extra character. For the acoustic guitars, I relied on my two AKG C414s and also recorded a clean DI signal just for safety. Recording the acoustic guitar in stereo has become my preferred approach because it gives me separate control over the low and the high frequencies later during mixing. The upright piano setup ended up exactly as I expected. I used two KM184s, added a gentle boost around 7K and compressed them slightly on the way in with my Wes Audio bus compressor. Since the piano is located behind me in the control room, I monitored it on headphones, which worked perfectly because I had already made all my monitoring decisions on the speakers while setting up the rest of the band. Last but not least were the lead vocals. I used my Neumann M149 into a Millennia preamp and added a little Pultec EQ together with gentle LA2A compression. We recorded 3 songs in a single day and it was such a fun session. I really enjoy working with this band. Everyone comes in well prepared, they truly love what they do and it's always a pleasure to work together. I've been lucky enough to work with them for many years and I'm already looking forward to mixing these songs. Once the songs are finished, we will come back to the session and compare the raw recordings with the final mixes. I'm really looking forward to hearing how all these decisions translate into the finished production. Until then, thank you so much for watching, take care and see you soon. Bye!